And as a matter of fact, if you look at it very well, there was something called the Northernization Agenda in the late 1950s. The Northernization Agenda demonized the South using religion as a tool. But it was not a do-or-die affair like this one. It was not a matter of killing people. There was a rivalry. We're talking about employment in northern Nigeria. We're talking about the rivalry for resources, rivalry for supremacy in the federal civil service, rivalry in the area of education and all that. Now, those problems went unaddressed, just as we also had the problem of what we are calling financial corruption now. The seeds were already sown very early into the makeup of Nigeria.
So we're having a country that is constantly degenerating.
Well, we didn't attend to the first set of flaws, systemic flaws, that we had right from independence era. And what has happened now is that something more pungent, something more chronic, something more determined, something more cruel, something more calculated, something better funded, something that has a clear goal has now come onto the scene.
You are Yoruba man. There's this worry in Yoruba land that something wrong is going on in the forest, within the communities, especially those living in the rural areas. They have this fear of being occupied by certain people. Some call them Fulani herdsmen.
Well, like I said, there's nothing strange about what is going on right now and the phase that we have come to. I remember very well by 2001 we were more focused on Jos, letting them know that this is going to escalate in Plateau State and the Middle Belt. When the trouble started in Plateau State, we were there counseling, trying to, ameliorate. There are things that would have been better done before the troubles came. But we did our best there. But at the same time was when we were sending messages across that Benue should get ready, because what you're seeing is called a displacement sequence. And what has happened is that the displacement sequence has passed through practically most of the parts of the north, has moved into the Middle Belt, we're talking Kogi, and is now moving into the southwest. So there should be nothing surprising. This is just the beginning.
But they can be stopped, can't they?
Well, it can be stopped. If, for instance, I'll tell you certain things that we need to realize quickly if we want to stop this. Number one, it is not, we have been shouting this from year 2000, 2001, that it was not a northern problem, it was a Nigerian problem from the beginning. It was the misdiagnosis that made one part of the country feel comfortable enough. When 9/11 happened in America and did the analysis, nobody said because two aeroplanes went into a tower in New York City, therefore it was an attack against New York City. When people sat down and did their proper thinking, their proper diagnosis, they knew that this was an attack against the United States of America. Now in Nigeria here, we have found it convenient, based on the flaws, our systemic flaws, to say, oh, it's their problem in corner. No, you can never get here. Or you can't get to the Middle Belt. It has always been a national problem. This thing has been documented not only in this part of the world, in many other parts of the world. It's a war form that can initiate its displacement for about 30, 40 years without any violence.
But can we say that the number of out-of-school children in northern Nigeria must have encouraged what we are seeing today?
Well, like I did say to you, these factors that we want to tabernacle on, and these are going to be factors that we are going to be looking at, which are going to distract. You see, a medical doctor knows if you have a complex case, you have a patient that has multiple sicknesses and diseases, there's a way you must manage that patient. There are certain sicknesses that get priority first, then certain ones will be secondary.
So where do we start from?
Tertiary. The first thing Nigeria needs to agree is that we need to accept that we're in a state of war. War against the sovereignty of Nigeria.
Okay.
Number one.
Number two?
Number two, we have to accept that it is a global war form with a local national head. Number two. Number three, we must realize that this war form wears a religious cloak. And therefore, we must move quickly to do what? To unmask the religious cloak and show it for what it is. Like I said to you, I remember one of the current presidents I was advising about 8 years ago, when I said, this is not a Christian versus Muslim fight, and please, let's not make the mistake of allowing it to degenerate into that. Because the people behind this are very intelligent. They wear a religious cloak, but I warned him, I said, they kill Muslims as easily as they will kill Christians. He said, but at that time they were concentrating on Christians. I said, just wait a bit. It wasn't up to 2 weeks later, the slaughter of Muslims started. So I'm saying to you that this is more important than even talking about economic issues. Because religious wars, if you fuel a religious war, once it starts, it never finishes.
But now the issue is that wars are driven by people. Wars are driven by those with guns. You have a lot of Nigerians that are unemployed, and on the other hand is the devil's workshop.
Like we did say something, and I say this to you again, that we have economic challenges. We have said that this problem is opportunistic. Everywhere it goes in the world, it will take advantage.
But you've not told us how to tackle it. You've identified
if
different forms.
Typical Nigerian, you want to go with your fire brigade approach, which Nigerians always want to go with. We will find out that we need to calm down and allow us to tell you exactly what this problem is, which we have confirmed, we have verified, nations of the world have verified. Only Nigeria chooses to play possum.
Yeah, you've heard people talk about the internationalization of the crisis. Even Obasanjo made mention of it. He said here, it is African Islamization and global organized crimes of human trafficking, money laundering. But what is the way
This problem was around in Obasanjo's days. Okay? Maybe it had not gotten, like I told you, the infiltration strategy can go for 30, 40 years. In Plateau State from 1978, it began to penetrate Plateau. They never killed somebody, never shot one gun until after about 30 years.
Who is behind this? Do you know?
You see, this is why I'm saying that we need to calm down and accept that all over the world.
No, you have been too calm. Don't you think so? You are telling us to calm down, and you are telling us danger is there.
We have not even been calm enough, and if we respond, let me give you a better understanding of what is happening. What you're up against has 4 stages. The first stage, when it starts, is violence. There will be indignation. There will be a response. It will now accelerate it. By the second stage, you find out that it's not going away, so you would now learn to accommodate it in your mind. Just when you think you're accommodating it, let's negotiate, let's give them money, let's do that, they will now go after soft targets to increase the madness. But there's a method to it. Now, by that time, what they're after happens. They break your will. Once your will is broken, you begin to accommodate many things you will never have accommodated before. And while you're asking me these questions, you have forgotten I told you something, that this thing is a hydra. What did I mean by that? It has a head in government, it penetrates education, it penetrates sports, it penetrates religion, it penetrates practically all the institutes, the mind moulders of government.